Hello and welcome to the Beckoning Bookshelf. I'm your host, Jeffrey Ashcraft. Another thing that I love about books is sometimes what you read in a book can stay with you, and it can become a part of you. I want to share one of those instances with you today of something that I read in a book that has stayed with me for decades and has truly become a part of me. The Alchemist was written by Paulo Coelho and was first published in Brazil in 1988. Yes, this is a Brazilian book. This is a Portuguese copy. It was later published in English in 1994, though some sources will say 1993. That's when the English copyright was created, and the first English edition, to my knowledge, was actually published in 1994. The book is an international bestseller. It has sold over 150 million copies as of 2025. And it has also been translated into over 80 different languages. And it holds the Guinness World Record for, this is a hard title to remember, the most translated book by a living author, which is quite the title, both in merit and also in just the title itself. It's so long. It's hard to remember. It's so specific. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a very specific title. So, I first found this book back in 2005 when I was living in Brazil. I wanted to experience more Brazilian culture and Brazilian literature, but I had no idea where to start. I mean, really, you go to another country, how do you know where to start when it comes to reading literature in that country? Well, a friend of mine had actually read The Alchemist and suggested it. And I figured, well, it's an international bestseller, so it's got to be good. And in case my Portuguese isn't up to snuff, there's also an English copy, so that's a win. That guarantees I'll be able to read it. So I decided that this would be one of the books that I read. And while I was reading it, I tried to find the part that made the book an international bestseller. And I had trouble finding it. As I was reading the book, nothing was really standing out to me that really popped out like, this is why it's an international bestseller. No character, no theme, no moral. And I was really beginning to wonder, am I just not getting it? And then I came across the ancient Arabic proverb. So near the end of the book, this is no spoilers by the way, the protagonist encounters another character that actually tells him an ancient Arabic proverb. And when I got to that point, I figured, this must be it. This is the part. This is the part that everyone must love, that everyone must connect with, that everyone must think, hey, this is brilliant. Let's read the proverb. That's part of the reason why I have the English version here. The proverb is this: everything that happens once can never happen again, but everything that happens twice will surely happen a third time. What? I was so confused. That didn't make any sense. I mean, if something can never happen again after once, then it will never happen a second time, let alone a third time. So that makes the second half of the proverb pointless. I was confused. And to be completely honest, I felt like I was missing something critical. I felt like since it was an international bestseller, there must be something to this proverb that I wasn't seeing. I mean, it's a proverb. Proverbs are great. They're just perfect little pieces of pocket wisdom that you can just carry around with you whenever you need it, right? It's one of the reasons why people love Proverbs so much. They're so useful, and you can just carry around with them. Carry them around with you. So I thought I was missing something. That there's no way that this proverb was just basically nonsense, and that everyone else must be figuring it out. That was slightly naive of me, I'll admit. But I couldn't let it go. So I literally thought about it for a decade. Like literally. I thought about it just off and on, trying to figure out the secret. And yeah, 10 years later, I finally figured it out. And I can even remember exactly where this happened. It was such a huge epiphany for me that I can even point the exact location where I was and what I was even going to do. Everything. So, but before I get to what I realized about the proverb, I want to talk more about what the proverb means here in the context of the book. Because I've switched up the proverb the context of the proverb just a teeny little bit. But first, let's talk about it in the book. And again, this is no spoilers. So first off, I do believe that Paulo Coelho created this proverb himself, because I have not found any other reference or source to it. So I believe it's a creation from Paulo Coelho. If you are aware of the proverb having a different source, please let me know. I'd love to learn. Secondly, the proverb in the context of the book is all about fate and the significance of events. That's what the proverb is about. So basically, if I were to just extend the proverb a little bit to make it clearer, if something happens only once, then it's by fate. It's not going to happen again. But if it happens a second time, then by fate, it is going to happen a third time. So to give you an example, like we'll go like old school story-wise. Say you encounter, say you meet a person that you fall in love with immediately. Say you're traveling, you're in another city, and you meet someone you fall in love with immediately, and then they're gone. Well, you're never going to meet that person again. That's fate. You've only met them once, and you'll never meet them again. There's a lot of movies about that. But on the other hand, if it happens to you twice, then it's going to happen to you a third time. Basically, if you have bad luck with something, like the comedies where something bad happens, and then of course it'll happen a second time, that'll happen a third time. It's all by fate. And the book emphasizes that these events should be, there's a significance in how many times it's happening and what is happening. So you need to be paying attention to that. That's the context of the proverb in the book. It's all about fate and the significance of events. Now, the problem I had with that is it's not very useful for me. I mean, sure, something will happen to me a few times. Okay, moving on. It's not a very valuable proverb. It's not a very valuable piece of pocket wisdom that I can carry around with me, because I want my proverbs to be useful. So I changed up the context just a little bit. And I still give Paulo Coelho credit for this proverb. I still think it's wholly his. Even though I've tweaked it slightly, I still think it's wholly his, and I give him credit for this brilliant proverb that he made. If you change it from fate to us, the proverb takes on a whole new meaning. So, I'll demonstrate this with two examples. One negative and one positive. We'll do the negative one first because we want to get it out of the way. We don't like negative. So, let's say that you wake up late one day. For whatever reason, you wound up waking up late, and you're late to whatever you need to be to. School, work, a birthday, a wedding, I don't know, a photo shoot? I don't know. You're late. That's a bad thing. Okay, well, this has happened to you once. This is where the proverb starts. Everything that happens once. Well, it's happened to you once. Now it's up to you as to whether or not it's going to happen again. That's the key to the proverb. So, let's say that you woke up late, and that night you set your alarm for the next morning to ensure that you don't wake up late again. Well, it's now happened to you once, and you are making sure that it will not happen again. But what if you don't set an alarm? What if you don't really change anything? Well, it's going to happen to you twice. And then it'll happen to you a third time, then a fourth time, then a fifth time, and so on and so forth until you actually make a change. I've seen this happen on more than one occasion with people I know and myself, where something negative will happen, again, like waking up late and thinking, I can't believe I woke up late again. Well, if you don't actually fix whatever's going on, like setting an alarm, going to bed earlier, or whatever it be, then it will keep happening again and again and again. Now, let's look at it from a positive perspective, because that's one of the coolest parts about this proverb is you can flip it, and it still works. So, let's look at it positively. So let's say if you're in school, let's say you got a good grade on a test. Or if you're at work, let's say you got an award for a particular assignment. Well, this has now happened to you once. Okay? Again, it's up to you as to whether or not it's going to happen again. So, let's say you just repeat what you did to get the award or good grade, well, then it'll happen to you twice. And then it'll happen to you a third time, fourth time, fifth time, so on and so forth, and you'll keep that positive thing going. But let's say that you don't repeat how you got that outcome. So let's say for the test that you studied for the test and you got a good grade. Well, you don't repeat that. Well, then you're not going to get a good grade. And that good outcome, that positive outcome, will never happen again. Let's reread the proverb under this new context. Everything that happens once can never happen again. Again, if you're looking at it from a negative perspective, if you change whatever negative thing happened, if you change whatever caused the negative thing to happen, then it will never happen again. But if you also don't continue to pursue a positive thing, then it will never happen again. But everything that happens twice will surely happen a third time, be it positive or negative. So, in other words, what road are you going down? Because if something happens to you twice, then it's going to happen a third, a fourth, a fifth. That indicates the road you're taking. Is it a positive road? Or is it a negative road? I am so happy I figured out this proverb after years. And I understand, again, that it is not exactly what Paulo Coelho intended. I don't think he intended this proverb to be viewed in this way. With my research and what he said about the book and the proverb itself, he intended it to be about fate. But I like it being about us, because we're the masters of our own fate. And that's another thing I like about books, is not only can these things stay with you, but they become a part of you. So Paulo Coelho shared something with me through this book, something that has stayed with me for years, something that I thought about for literally a decade. And now I've made it part of me. I've added my own bit to it. And now I can share it with you and see where it goes from there. Books are a lovely, fantastic way to share ideas and to learn from. And I hope that this little piece of pocket wisdom, this proverb, can maybe help you. I can tell you it's helped me. It's helped make sure that I stay on the right track, on the positive track, and I stay off negative roads. I stay on positive ones. And that's all I have for you today. Have you actually read The Alchemist? Are you aware of the book? You know, like, bestsellers, international bestsellers, will eventually no longer be international bestsellers. Most of them. Because notoriety for the book or knowledge of the book will just die down. It'll eventually just die out. But The Alchemist is still going strong, apparently, to this day. It's still selling plenty of copies. So have you read it? Are you even aware of it? And what little pieces of pocket wisdom do you have that you could share with us? What has been some proverb that has been special in your life? Thank you for being here. Thank you always for being here. I greatly appreciate you spending your time with me. You are amazing. Always remember that. Now, go find yourself a good book.